Welcome back to Spiritual Context for Worldly Chaos and the finale of Gemma Gallucci's interview we did in 2023. Enjoy. You know, I think when you first get a tarot deck, if you're not taught by somebody at 12, you know, when you first pick one up, it's usually, I was talking to some people recently because I'm going to put together a big workshop at some point later in the year. Like I really want to teach people tarot, but I don't want to do it all myself. Like I would love to have all of you like give your expertise, specialty, whatever. And something that I've noticed is people will go into reading tarot with this pure heart and say, I want to heal people, or I want to be a part of the healing process, or I want to, I really want to understand the cards and I really want to understand how to facilitate people's process. And I'm like, and I remember I was sitting with some people and they were telling me that, and I was like, then why did you stop? And I knew the answer, but I had to ask it. I was like, then why did you, after this class that you took, why aren't you reading anymore? And they're like, oh, well, I mean, I just didn't really get it. I mean, I kind of understood, but I didn't. And I was like, I get that. Like that, it takes a long time to understand tarot. But could it also be that you have many other ways that you want to read these cards, but you don't think that that's either possible or you don't want to admit it? Because I do read the future and I enjoy reading the future. But if you don't want to read the future, you do not have to read the future.
Exactly.
There's so many questions out there. So that's why it is important to know what it is that you want to read and then get real right with yourself about that aspect of your life, because that's going to seep in if you haven't.
Yeah.
You know, if you're afraid of your future, do not read other people's futures. Don't do it. Like, I mean, unless you know astrology and you can really get right with what's coming up for you, then don't worry about what's coming up for somebody else, because they've got a whole slew of things that they need that doesn't have anything to do with the future.
And that's the thing too, is that the hard part to accept is that a lot of the times, like, you could give someone a reading and you're not healing them. You're not healing them. You can do everything that you can say everything you need to say to them, do everything you need to do, and ultimately it's still their decision to go with what they decide to go with within their own life. And it can be draining to have someone come back to you over and over and over again and get the same reading over and over and over again. Like, not in the situation that I had with my friend, because that's just like 4 months isn't that long, but like
those are friendships anyways.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All people over the course of years who are just like stuck because they'll just keep coming back because they
and they'll blame you.
Yeah, they'll find a reading entertaining, but not when I'm telling them like, hey, you got to stop this, and they just like don't, you know.
That's so funny you say that. I had that happen to me recently. I price myself to kind of keep people from doing that. You know, I would rather see you once every 6 months for my own mental health. Because, you know, when you're talking to a reader and you only have this one time, let's say it's $150, even though that's like a low therapy price, you will throw it all on the table. Like what's going to take you 6 months in therapy is going to take you a second with me. And it's not because of me. It's because of whatever, you know, your expectations are with a tarot reader. So you don't want to waste time with me. But when you do have enough money to afford, say, $150 like a therapist, or you are more inclined to hear or to have somebody spy or to go into all of these crevices and you think you're talking spiritually, or you think that you're, you know, gaining some kind of healing. And it's not maybe you are, but you also have to consider the person on the other end and their ability. And so I recently had to tell somebody like, and hey, listen, like, I definitely can use clients. Like I love, you know, having repeat clients. I think it's wonderful that I connect with people. But when I'm seeing you 15 times in 6 months,
I won't do it.
I now have to refer you to a therapist because that's what I had to do. I was like, I think you're wonderful. And you keep coming back to me with the exact same things, and you keep saying the exact same things. And I'm not a therapist. I don't know how to help you past here. All I can do is answer the questions that tarot can answer and give you
the same answer I gave you a few weeks ago.
Yeah. Like I don't know how to do what a therapist does, and I don't have the patience to do what a therapist does.
I can't teach you DBT.
Right. If I did, then I'd be a therapist.
Exactly.
Like, I mean, I wouldn't even be doing this. Like,
it'd be very different. And I feel like people take it the same way. I feel like people see tarot and they're like, oh, a therapist who will tell me when I'm going to fall in love. And so there's this big ideation that falls on our shoulders. And we're just like, listen, we're also just people. Like, nah, I can't do that for you. And I probably won't, because that's probably not what you need to hear. And also, like, I'm not your therapist. I'll be your therapist for like however long this like reading goes. But after that, like if you have other questions, like we're pulling cards. I'm not like teaching you different forms and strategies to like reframe your mind, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And like if we get those insights that make you really look at yourself or see something differently, then really I'm excited for your next therapy session because that's where you can really spend those 6 months unpacking that idea or, going over that revelation. And I'm happy I was a part of that. And that's where I shine. That's where tarot readers can really shine if that's what they want to do, if it's a part of that kind of healing process. Is we can get messages from spirit, but you're the one who ultimately has to do not even just the work, but like you're the one who's in you.
You're the one doing
who's
it
in your
like,
life.
I can't
like, yeah, I know you for 50 minutes.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Like I know that your name's like Tara, and then I know nothing else about you, basically, other than what I just read here. And so you're going to go on to your life, and you're going to keep doing things, and I'm going to be over here still. And I think that's the thing that people don't necessarily understand either. I think there's a lot of dehumanization that can go on when you're a tarot reader. There's like this assumption that you're like this all-knowing orb, and I'm not. I'm just a person with some cards, basically. And, I connect to other things beyond that, but I still have my own, like human life that I need to like do my little tasks in. And I think there's this assumption that like because we're not creating anything physical with like this occupation, like we're not like creating I don't know, clothing, or we're not creating food, then like it's easy. You can just keep doing it. Just do it over and over and over again. It's fine. Like you're not creating anything. Like this isn't physical labor, but it's so much mental and emotional and spiritual labor that they don't get because they're just getting the results of it. They're not giving.
Absolutely. And it's also like you said earlier, you're getting into people's stuff. You're getting into people's pain, emotions, the rawness of them that they don't show everybody. The mask comes off and like you get to, you're almost holding them while they cry sometimes, or you're almost, and that's not everybody, but like, like exactly.
And sometimes it's the opposite where like they're sitting there and like, you can't get to me. And I'm like, well, then why are you sitting here in this chair and why are you paying me? Because if you're just going to try to like go against everything that I say, then there's really no point in you being here. And that's almost just as difficult because it's just like fighting. It's people sometimes will get a reading just to try to prove me wrong. And it's like, you're just wasting your money. Like, I just have your money now, but also like I'm drained, you're drained. Why are we doing this?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, why are you going to go to a hairstylist and sit down in the chair and be like, I'm going to prove you wrong that you can't actually cut my hair in the way that I would want it. Here's some pictures of the way I want it to look. Are you actually going to make it look like that?
That's like, well, maybe they won't, maybe they will. God, what are you doing?
Exactly.
Cut your own hair.
I love that. I love that Napoleon Dynamite. God. It's good. Yeah, so I agree. I think that's not something that we've talked about on the podcast yet. And it's really important if you want to be a tarot reader to protect yourself because you can protect yourself with price. You can protect yourself with privacy. Like, let's say you're a person who just does readings by referral. You can protect yourself in so many ways because it is a service that you're giving. It's not just a magic trick. This isn't, and you've got to take the pressure off of yourself to be right all of the time because at the end of the day, what is right? How many times, okay, let me use the word right just for lack of a better word, but how many times I was right about something that the person would shut down first because they don't want to see that about themselves. They don't want to, like you said, they don't want to see that reflection. And then 5 minutes later, they will literally say what I just said. And you have to be wait, like,
wow. Sometimes you'd be like, wow, that's so great that you came to that completely on your own. I can't believe that you did that completely on your own. That's crazy that happened completely
I'm petty. I'm like, I just said that. I just want you to know I just said that. So
I pick and choose. Sometimes people are just like too much, and I just like know when I need to like let them have it. Like sometimes like people can protect themselves through price and things like that. I'll just say no. Like I had someone recently.
Yeah, Capricorn rising.
I had someone recently who, upon meeting this person, just knew it was immediate, just like dehumanization of me. I was not a person. I was like a Pinterest board to them, basically. And they wanted a reading, and I said no. And they said, why? And I said, because you're too eager.
Oh my God, I love it.
They were really confused. And then every time I had a conversation with them, they would always turn into some kind of like them asking me for this sage advice just because they wanted to hear themselves speak. They'd be like, do you think I should move to Ireland? I'd be like, if you want to. I'd be like, maybe I will. And I'm like, okay, then you should do it. Like I just sometimes I won't give people that kind of time of day. And I would tell them something very quick and simple. Like they'd say, I don't know. And I'd say, like, I think that you do. And they'd be like, well, how do you know? And I'm like, well, because you have a lot of thoughts in your head. And they'd be like, not a thought in my head. And I'd be like, no, you just had 30 thoughts about how I just said that. And they'd be like, you should be a therapist. And I say, no, I shouldn't. And they say, why? I'm like, because I don't want to be. And
God,
sometimes
I'm already
you just gotta,
tired.
like, exactly.
I'm
yeah.
already tired.
And that was every conversation I would have with this person. That's why I was not going to give them a reading, because it would just be more of that. It would just be more of like stacking up their human Pinterest board.
And it's like this child saying, but why? But why? But why? And it's like,
And Capricorn comes in because I said so.
Because I said
you're not going to take the answer. You're not going to take the answer.
Exactly. If you have no self-control or self-restraint, if you don't feel any sort of ability to self-actualize.
Sometimes there's just no seriousness. And that's fine to say. Like, you're not taking this seriously. You're not taking me seriously. And you're not taking yourself seriously. So we're not going to sit here and do this. It's not going to happen.
Yeah. And I think that's incredibly important, that everybody knows that you have the right to say no to anybody. It doesn't matter. You know, if you're doing this for, you know, a living, or if you're doing it just to be a healer, just to offer the gift, then you really need to know how to say no, because that means that you're empathetic and people really want to take advantage of that. And they also want to test that. They want to, like you said, prove you wrong. I was doing a reading for a Halloween party, and everybody that came in was so nice, and it's freaking loud. I'm in the very back end. You know, it's just like the worst conditions, and also you're with people for 5 minutes. They haven't paid, so they don't necessarily. It's only the host that's paid, so they don't have anything to lose with you. So I was very lucky, that everybody was very nice until one person with their significant other came in. The significant other was fine, but the person that was kind of annoying was very, geeky about it, and was like, okay, I'm going to ask these certain questions. And when somebody gets like that, something about me just shuts down.
Don't tell me what you're thinking, because people want to do it all the time, and I say, don't you dare.
So I'm like getting everything wrong, but at the same time, I'm almost like sabotaging myself just because I really don't care. Like, you just made me shut down. Like, I don't care. And then finally I did one little spread, and I looked at him, and I was like, very recently, you had a serious temper tantrum and you could not control your emotions, and you flipped out. And I think that's something you need to look at. And if he didn't look straight up at me, like I just called him out, and I was like, well, because if you don't have anything going on in your life, why the hell there's nothing going on then? I'll just tell you this one thing then. There you go.
Well, that's the thing too, is that when people come in with that energy of like, I'm going to prove you wrong, then the reading's not going to be accurate or helpful, because they're not putting real intention into the cards. They're putting sabotage into the cards. And so I usually will say no to people that I think that'll happen with. I've gotten to a point where people don't really approach me with that anymore, which is really nice. It still happens from time to time, but I know when I look at someone if that's gonna be the case. And so I'll just do my best to find something in them that I can pull from, and then just like, I don't want to say like hit him with it, but like sometimes I just got to hit him with it.
Sometimes you got to hit him with it. Yeah. Sometimes if you see the tower come out, like, I mean, that's a pretty obvious sign that something is going to crack. You know, I mean, it's a liberating
why they're
process.
Coming here in that way too.
Exactly. I remember, oh my God, it hasn't come out yet. The very first episode of this, I had my sound engineer, and one of my very good friends was coming on, because I was like so nervous, and I'm like, I need to be with somebody that like I'm chill with, because I knew something was going to go wrong. Why? I never get the tower. What if that was the main card that came out that day? And I was like, something's going to mess up. I know something's going to mess up. And it did. And so we still haven't released it, because I have to overdub so much of the words I said, because like it made electronic sound every other word. And so it was good to learn from, because now it's like, okay, we got one out of the way, and now I see all the things I need to do. But that's the tower. Like, you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know where it's going to happen, why it's going to happen. But it's just like saying, hey, look out for this, so that when it does happen, you're not freaking out. You can actually breathe through it. So she, over the connection was bad. So she would be talking, and I'd see her mouth moving, but I wouldn't hear her for like 5 seconds in. So I'm just like basically like driving with one eye blind. And I'm just like, oh my God. And I'm like, yeah, I got it. Yeah, this is great. And it went well, sure. But on the back end, we couldn't even put it up yet. But like, that was the thing. I could actually breathe through the whole thing, because I knew something was going to happen. So instead of like freaking out and being like, oh, this can't work, we're not doing it. Like, you know, it's just like, no, we're just going to do this. We're going to figure out the problem afterwards so it doesn't happen again.
Exactly.
I'm just going to breathe through this.
And it's kind of a blessing in disguise because you get it out of the way. The worst that could have happened in episode 1, and now you know how to deal with it if it ever happens again, which it probably won't because you know how to fix it.
That's
now.
right. We changed the software. I changed everything. I was like, this ain't happening again. Oh my God. Gemma, thank you so much for coming on to the show. You were a last minute person, and I was super excited to meet you because I love your friend Mel.
Oh, I love Mel too.
Yes, I just love the spontaneous conversation or the spontaneous meeting.
Yes.
So I'm really, really happy you could make it.
I'm so glad I could too. This has been delightful. I don't really get to talk to many people about, you know, tarot and astrology and
So is there anything you want to end this episode with? Do you want to let anybody know anything or any more advice that you'd want to give somebody?
I'd say just reiterating, trust yourself and don't go into it unless you really feel that you're ready to be jumping in other people's boxes in a way that you really haven't before.
Snap to that.
Yeah, and once you start, don't stop. I've given so many people lessons that I just turn back and I'm like, hey, how's that going? And they're like, what are you talking about? Because I don't do it anymore. And I'm like, well, you just gotta like, it's like riding a bicycle where it's fucking hard at first, but then like you get on the bike and you go, and as soon as you learn how to pedal those pedals, you got it. I think that's really funny that I used that analogy because I'm really bad at riding a bike. But
Stop it. That's so funny.
But that's the thing is that, like, you know, you don't learn how to ride a bike in a day. So how are you going to learn how to read tarot cards in a day? You have to work at it, just like everything else.
Yeah, but you know what? It's also, I totally agree, but tarot, astrology, anything esoteric doesn't have enough rewards for most people. And
because it's not a personal reward.
Yeah, you're not a CEO of a company. You're not a famous actor. You're not striving for the recognition. Yeah, exactly. Like you're not. So you have to want to do it because you have a compulsion to do it. And if you. And also, I think there's just not enough resource. There's plenty of books, but everybody's scattered everywhere, which is why I'm like super excited to put this workshop together because it's like kind of putting everybody together.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. Yes,
right. Because I'm just like that's how my issue with tarot the whole time was just like I read a book and it's the same thing over again.
Yeah, there's no conversation. There's no conversation to be had.
And not to say that all these people aren't incredible. It's just if you put them all in like a workshop or like actually having that conversation like you're talking about, then it really opens up. So if you're a person who is just trying to learn from the books, you'd probably agree you have to start going. You have to just read people. Just literally find people to read.
Because that's the thing is you can read a book your whole life, but if you don't go out there and like apply what you've read to anything, then you're just reading books.
Exactly. Thank you again, Gemma. You were wonderful.
Of course. This was such a nice conversation.
I hope we actually hang out together because I live probably very close to you. So
yes. Hopefully, you know, continuously, but we'll see what happens.
We'll see. Oh my gosh. Right. Well, thank you so much, Gemma, and I hope you have a wonderful week.
Thank you. You too.
Thank you so much for spending your time with us. If you haven't already, feel free to sign up to my Substack, especially if you like to know what's happening with astrology. I send out a weekly Sunday newsletter called This Week in the Sky, and it projects the upcoming transits, retrogrades, eclipses, and so on. And I also do a little mini tarot reading for everybody. So if you like that kind of thing, subscribe to my Substack. That's free. Otherwise, we will see you tomorrow. Take care.